Hey everyone, Kylie here at Games Unlimited. Want to show off a new abstract game. I saw this at the Gamma Trade Show back in March this year. It was my favorite game of the show. I like abstracts, especially ones that tend to be on the shorter side. So not something like chess or Go, which can sometimes take hours, but games like Onitama or Element that can be played in 15 or 20 minutes. This one from Smirk and Dagger is called Shobu. Very simple little two-player game. If you take a look at the board here, beautiful wood mats, wooden boards. You've got actual river stones that they use for the different pieces. So it's got a gorgeous setup. This represents the river. Doesn't actually have any gameplay purpose, but it just looks cool on the table. So your goal in this game is to move stones around, and as you move, you're going to be able to push an opponent's stone off of the board. So I can push a stone like that to knock a stone off of the board. Your goal is to knock all four stones, an opponent's stones, off of any one of the four boards. So you don't have to knock all the stones off of every board. Just any one of the four boards. If you've knocked all four of the opponent's stones off, you've won the game. Now, the way this works, it's a little bit different than most abstracts, because you're actually going to take two actions on your turn. You're going to get to move two stones. So the first action, if you're the black player sitting over here, you have to move one of your stones on one of the two boards on your side of the river. So say I'm going to pick this stone. You can move it in any direction, orthogonal or diagonal, and you can move it one or two spaces in the same direction. So one or two spaces. So once you do that, so let's say I take the stone and I move it diagonal one space. I've moved it on the light colored board, on the white board. My second move has to be on one of the two dark colored boards. I have to pick a stone and copy that movement. So since this movement was diagonal that way, one space, I can pick a stone on either one of these two boards and move it diagonal that way. Okay, so you have to think about which two moves you want to make. If you often think about your second move, you have to extrapolate back and figure out what your first move should be to do the move you want. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your first move is called a passive move. It's passive because that first move is not allowed to push pieces. You're never allowed to push your own piece, but you cannot push the opponent's pieces on your first move. However, your second move, the aggressive move, is allowed to push pieces. So if we come back to the situation we have on the board here, let's say the black player wants to push this white stone off of the board. Well, he's going to have to pick one of his stones and move it diagonally one space to push it off. But since the movement wants to be done on the dark colored board, he's going to have to move, his passive move will be a stone on the light colored board. So something like that. That would be a valid move. Then the white player is going to get to take a turn, do the same thing. What I found really interesting about this game is the layers from which side of the board. Your passive move always has to be on your side of the river. So I'm going to have to do my passive move on one of these two. Your active move can be on the opposite color on either side of the river. So there's two different schools of thought. Do you want to, like, which board am I going to try to win on? Which board do I want to really be aggressive on? If I'm aggressive on a board on the opponent's side, it's a lot easier for me to move stuff over there because I have options on my side, but the opponent can be defensive because they can use their passive move to set things up on that board. Whereas if I'm aggressive on something on my side of the board, maybe a little bit harder, it's not giving me as many options, but the opponent has a lot harder time moving pieces on your side of the river because they can only do that with their active move, aggressive move. So it takes about 15 minutes, beautiful looking game. We will have this one in the store. We're happy to teach you. Should definitely stop by, check out a game of Shobu, pick up a copy. I'm Kylie at Games Unlimited.